What's going on, guys? How you doing? Today I want to talk about 3 psychology principles that can help you turn your struggle to success. Let's get into it. What's going on, guys? Once again, welcome back to the channel. My name is Scott King. I run a DJ company in Orlando, Florida. If you want to check that out, www.coachscottking.com. Also have a coaching business where I teach psychology, NLP, mindset, hypnosis, internet marketers, and how I was able to build my business. So make sure to go to www.coachscottking.com. What's going on, guys? Let's get into it. So how invested are you? 3 principles that separate success from struggle. So basically the way it works is, let's say 2 groups of people get information, right? The same amount of information. Some people are able to run to the hills with it and get results, while other people may not get the same results, and you might be wondering why that is. Me, personally, I've trained, I don't know how many people at this point, and I was able to see people that were able to grow with me, and then I saw people that just kind of left and treated me to be like the bad guy or something. So basically, I was like, why is that? What could be going on? So I put together a little slideshow with this new service, and it was able to help me put together a pretty reasonable slideshow in minutes. And I did some adjusting and things, but it was like, oh yeah, me just in the studio. Well, let's get some more visuals, right? So the value of reciprocity. What is reciprocity? If I scratch your back, you'll scratch mine. So you want to make sure that in your business that you're giving something of value to somebody, especially leads. So leads could come in and say, oh, what can you offer to me different than somebody else could? Well, I put together this app, or I put together this PDF, or I put together this checklist, and I want you to have it. So whether or not you go with my services or not, at least this will help you accomplish whatever it is you're here to accomplish, especially as a wedding DJ. This will help you plan your wedding, right? So there's only so many things that as a DJ you can do to separate yourself. And at the same time, what makes you you, right? You want to show that you actually care for your leads, that you want to see their success, and that you're the person for the job. So let's just keep that in mind, right? So when you provide real value, most people are naturally want to, mutual benefit, right? So free training videos, business tips, lead magnets, which is the PDF or the app or whatever you give to somebody to help them along the way. And you also want to make sure that you get real results. I was on the phone with one of my photo booth attendants who had left to go to San Antonio, and he was doing sales calls, something like 300 a week or so for a couple weeks, and he hadn't gotten any sales. So I, out of curiosity, just hit him up, say, hey man, I kind of knew what you were getting into. Were you able to get any results? And he said he hadn't gotten any results. So I was like, hey man, give me a call and let me see what I can do. So he was explaining his language patterns, and I, gave him actionable steps. I told him how to adjust things, and within a couple hours, he was able to get his first sale. And then for the law of reciprocity, I helped him out, gave him some time, gave him some free tips. He made a promotional testimonial video for me, and there we go. Reciprocity. I helped him, he helped me. And then on top of that, I also have Dion, who is one of my DJs. And when he was added to the team, he wasn't getting a lot of bookings through his own company. And well, with my business, I train people to help build their own business. And now he's getting more bookings. He's more streamlined. He's getting more success. He learned the language patterns, and he also learned the business workflow and how I operate. And then with that in mind, he's every single year consistent growth. So up next, we have the law of commitment and consistency. So investment creates accountability. So if you're invested to somebody and you tell everybody, oh, I'm doing this, and then they come back like a week later and think, oh no, I forgot about that. I'm not doing that anymore. So if you don't stick with it, then it's not going to be able to happen. So we also have perceived value. I have a Starbucks picture up there. Well, basically what it represents is if you're spending more for a service, that you're going to want to use that service, right? Starbucks brand versus like a non-coffee, but yet people still go to Starbucks, right? So we want to cherish what we pay for and what we invest in for our effort. So it's also kind of like a gym, right? You could have a gym membership and pay $5 or $10 to it, but you're not going to be committed to go to it because it doesn't mean a lot to you to spend that little bit amount of money. Right? But if you were spending $100 to $120 for a gym membership, you'd go there every single day to get your value out of it. So keep that in mind as well. And then we have motivational boost, right? You want to celebrate your wins. Like the more the information that you get, and the more you're able to gain success celebrating your wins, so you can see where you came from to keep going towards whatever the end goal is. Like, especially if it was building your business, and if you had good tracking record, you know, a good CRM, you could see your numbers and then look back 5 years where I'm at now, 10 years, you know, that kind of thing. And if you don't have any skin in the game, right, how invested are you really? So if someone gives you some free information and you never look at it, that's not going to do you much good, because you're not getting the information, and then you're not implying the information that you would be getting, right? So I have a buddy of mine, like, I had spent a bunch of money to learn from one of these online guys on how to read faster. So I spent a bunch of money on it, and then I was telling one of my DJs, and I was like, hey, look, you know, I got this program to help me read faster, and it actually worked because I was invested in it. I spent the money, and then I took the classes. And then one of my DJs is like, well, why don't you just give me a copy of it? So I did. I don't usually do that, but here we are. And he's never looked at it. So he wasn't that invested. So just keep that in mind. Also, move my head over here now. Boom. Personal story, right? When I was building out my business around 2020 or so, I left a talent agent. And then there was another person that left a talent agent as well. So what had happened was, I had the fear of, well, you know, I spent 20 years building up this talent agency. Now I got to start all over again. And how am I going to keep work coming every single weekend? And then another person ended up leaving the same talent agent because, of course, we didn't like the talent agency owner, because they didn't treat, you know, their people right. They would gaslight and do narcissistic things. And that's a whole nother video. So I was like, hey, look, you know, I'm building something, and you can come, you know, work with me. Right. So this person also had a spouse, and then I trained this person to be my personal assistant. I taught them everything, like how the CRM works, how the email marketing works, how to do a sales call, even to DJ. So now I got one DJ and that person's spouse. Now I was like, oh, hey, I got two DJs, and then I could send them out to do gigs, which I did. And that was like the biggest lesson in the beginning stages of really hammering down things, was that I don't know, I must have spent 20 grand within 6 or 7 months of just paying these people for training and doing gigs. And, you know, it was 2 people. So I was like, oh yeah, all this ended to them. And there's another thing to notice, right? So if you spend a ton of money, time, and energy to learn how to do something, you end up becoming good at it. And somebody who hasn't, but still needs to have these skills to be useful around you, you could just tell them how to do things. So are they appreciative of the information, or are they entitled? Like, oh, I just think this information is supposed to be given to me. Just like when I had DJs at my house and giving them cars and paying them to do gigs, and they were like, oh yeah, I thought, you know, this is just how the world works. People are just supposed to be giving me things. Well, for you as the giver or the business owner, you'd want to find people that appreciate what you're doing, so that you can have win-win situations, right? So what I had was full transparency, shared entire business operations, right? Financial support, paid them to do gigs and training, and then unexpected outcome. They didn't value what was freely given, causing some losses. So this person had like 12 months of gigs planned out, and then just all of a sudden decided to leave. In the conversation, I'll never forget it. It was like, well, you should give me reasons why I should work for you. I'm like, I'm giving you more than anything I've ever given to somebody. and like, this is the conversation you have. It was, give me reasons why I should work for you. Well, I can give you one why I don't want you to work for me, because I don't have this conversation. So here we go. The cautionary tale. What I gave: paid while teaching them, training them, shared my entire business system, opened my CRM, gave them gigs, and then revealed all my marketing secrets, stuff that I had spent thousands, if not 20, 30,000 just to learn from people that were way further ahead of me. But it, you know, falls onto deaf ears, right? So the red flags to watch out for: wanted more without using what they had, right? I had one phone call with the spouse that was like, oh, I'm ready to move on to the next phase. You're holding me back. I'm like, it takes me more time to go over the stuff that you're messing up than it would be to proceed you to the next step. Once you get this step down, then you can go to the next step, right? But to this person, it was like, oh, you're holding me back. Like, no, just do this right, and then you can go to the next step. And it wasn't like I was holding anybody back. It was like, you're still getting gigs, you're still doing all this, and it's still taking a lot of my time to fix what you're messing up. So the next one, right? Treating resources as entitlement. Like, oh, I just think all this information is supposed to be given to me. Even though you have a lot of time, money, and energy, that doesn't mean anything. You still need me to do this. So they didn't appreciate it, right? So, and then, of course, here's another one to look out for when someone makes excuses instead of showing results, right? I had another, one of my photo booth attendants, like I gave them the gear and they were supposed to come back after the gig and they just didn't even call or anything like that. They just went home. The only reason I knew that was because the iPad had location services on it. And I, like, instead of being worried, I was like, oh yeah, this guy just went home. So when the person came back the next day, I was like, hey, look, you just went home. You didn't even call. Like I even said, I'll see you tonight. And then they made an excuse. Oh, we would have made it happen if you had another gig this day. So instead of like, oh, next time I'll make sure to call, it was, wow, I would have made it happen anyway. But you didn't even know what needed to happen because you didn't even ask. I even said I'd see you tonight. So it was just a funny experience. And then people that act like they're the experts when they haven't mastered the skills yet, this is something to look out for too. Again, with the assistant that I had, oh, I'm way better. Like, no, I could show you where you're messing up. And you can either accept that information and then get better, or just say, oh, that doesn't matter, and push me to the next step. So you got to be mindful of that, where people are, right? So hypnosis. This is something that we talk about in the hypnosis community. So let's say you wanted to go to a hypnotist and you wanted to quit smoking. There's two hypnotists, right? One guy's charging $5, the other guy's charging $1,000. So if you go to the hypnotist and spend $5 to quit smoking, you're not invested enough to quit smoking. Even though it may work, it may not also work, for the probability is that you're not invested. So if you were to spend $10,000 to quit smoking, you would make sure that you quit smoking, or you would look silly spending that much money and not getting the results that you want, right? So just keep that in mind. And then psychology motivator. Money spent triggers accountability and reduces quitting temptation. So the more money is spent, the more invested you'll be to quit smoking. And then behavioral change. Commitment leads to stronger adherence to program's goals. So you celebrate every single win, you study more information, and then you just become like me, staying up all night, learning stuff. So let's also keep in mind the NLP, or hypnosis amnesia effect. And this is something that's pretty powerful information too, right? So the DJ that left the talent agent, I'll never be able to DJ a wedding, right? So let me train you, let me market you, let me show you how it's done. And then they forget the source. Like, oh yeah, I knew how to do that all along. Like, you don't remember coming to me and telling me that you could never do this, and now all of a sudden you're doing it. And since my marketing is working so well, people are asking you for name, but you just did it all on your own. At the same time, they had to walk through the door, yet forgetting who showed them the door is something that I had to learn. Like that happens with people. And it was kind of awakening. Yeah, at the same time, we all learn and grow, right? So again, rewriting history. They explain this in the hypnosis community as well. When you go back through your memories, you can look at them from whatever angle that you want to look at them, right? So if you believe that nobody helped you and you did it all on your own, your mind will just find all the different avenues where you did things all on your own. Even though somebody else may have shown you the door, you still had to walk through it. And as a hypnotist coach or NLP coach, you can point that out. Yet at the same time, if they have enough confidence to get to the goal, I mean, it still happened, right? So that leads to another phenomenon of to give without expecting anything in return. You could just be smarter about the information that you give it to, right? And then they'll devalue your free help, right? When knowledge is given free, appreciation fades unless you find the people that have the appreciation value, right? So that was my lesson learned. Again, it was probably 20, maybe more K in a certain amount of time. And, well, learn from my mistakes. So the perceived value, right? Psychology behind pricing. Higher prices signal greater worth to some people, right? So you'll be more valued if your price is higher, right? Client behavior. Paying clients follow advice diligently because they're showing their investment through their payment, right? Information versus value. You can give the same information to groups of people, and some people may take that information and run with it. Some others won't see the value in it, and they'll just do their own thing. And again, we repeat our lessons until we've learned them. So here we go. Let's find the right people. All right. Success mindset. Take immediate action, share your results, ask specific questions to get to where your goal is, and show a genuine appreciation, right? Investment, time investment, emotional investment, financial investment, mental investment. Got to be all in. That's why when you see some of these coaches online, they want to make sure that you're all in an action taker, because why would they want to spend their time with somebody that could get their information, not use the information, and then make them look bad? That's right, guys. Make sure to follow, like, and subscribe. www.coachscottking.com. Boom. All right. Catch you on the next one.